Can we ride in this moment? Can we ride? Nothing's stopping us tonight. No, not a single brake light in our sight. In our way, I'll be your passenger. You lead the way. You lead the way. I'll let you take the wheel. I'm feeling something real. I need to feel that breeze rush up me. Not a single taillight in our sight. All I see are green lights ahead, lighting our way. Can we drive right into this feeling? Can we drive?
Hiding out.
'Cause there's a way I'm stepping tonight. No, not a single red light in our sight. In our way, I'll be our passenger. You lead the way. I'll let you take the wheel. I'm feeling something real. I need to feel that breeze rush over me. You lead the way. Not a single taillight in our sight. In our way. All I see are green lights ahead, lighting our way. Lighting up, yeah. Lighting all the green lights. Lighting up now. All the green Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere, I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth, maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw.